we are going to see the Panda library. So first we will go to the statistics part. So what does actually mean by statistics? So it is a branch of mathematics which mainly used for data collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and then presentation. Okay, so most of the data which we are going to deal in the data analysis part, so we have to collect them and we have to organize the data, and we have to analyze it to get some insight out of it. Finally, we have to make it into an presentable data. Okay, so all these things can be done in the statistics part. So there are three elements present in the statistics. So in that first one is population. Okay, the term population we use to represent the overall data. Okay, when we say overall data, for example, population of India we are taking. Okay, overall population is mentioned like 136.64 crores. So this term population is not only for the human population. We can use it for any, any information you can use it. For example, if you are taking some product, what is the defect rate? Overall production, what is the overall production? How many people are speaking this particular language overall India or overall the world? Or how many people are using this particular network? Likewise, complete data, okay, accurate data if you are having means, then we can mention it as a population. So that is why we mention it as overall data. Then second element is sample. So from the overall data, if I am taking only a certain portion of that main data, or we can say a group of data if I am taking means, then we call them as a sample data. Okay, so here population of India is comes under the overall data, right? I don't want to know the entire population of India. I just want to know a population of Delhi, or population of Chennai, or population of any particular region. Then that data I can call it as a sample data. Then third element we are having is variables. This particular variable again can be further categorized into quantitative data and then categorical data. So in quantitative data, all the values will be in the numerical format. And then in the categorical data, uh, values will be in an text format. So example we will see. So for the quantitative data, we are having example like age, height, weight. Okay, those things and all values is going to be in the numerical format only, right? So age, if I take means, 27, 28, 16, like that, whole numbers is going to be there. When it comes to height, again, it can be in inches, or we can say it in centimeter. Then weight, kilogram, we used to say, right? Then when we come to the categorical data, so this data is going to be like this or that data, or we will give some option from that the person will be choosing the data. It can be a yes or no question or true or false question. It can be in any different format, but mostly data will be in the text format only. Okay, so those type of data we will categorize into a categorical data. Then different types. Okay, so statistics can be of different two types, which is descriptive statistics and then inferential statistics. So we will see each and everything in detail. First, we will go to the descriptive statistics. So descriptive statistics means we are going to describe about the collected data. So we have collected the information in various different forms. So about that particular data, what type of data it is, from whom we have collected, what for we have collected this data, using this data, what we are going to do. So those things can be analyzed in this particular descriptive analysis. So to understand it better, we have taken one example here. Okay, so in this example, we have taken the COVID test cases. Okay, conducted for our assumption, we are conducting it for the whole population. 136.64 crore population is there, means for each and every person we have conducted that particular test, and then we are going to do some analysis with that particular data. So to collect this data, what and all will be included? So it will include, first part is collection. Okay, we have to collect it. Then we have to organize the data. Then we have to classify the data. So in the classification, after making the test, whether the person is, confirmed with the COVID or, not having COVID. So those classification we can do. Then summarization part. So in the summarization and analysis part and all, what we will do is, suppose one particular area I'm conducting a test, and I have found that out of 100 people, I have found that more than 50 people are having COVID positive. Then immediately I may announce that region as a um, red zone area. Similarly, again another one area I'm testing, in that only 20 to 30 percentage of people are having COVID positive. Then I can assign it as yellow region. Another one area I'm going, there only 5 to 10 percentage only is there of people are having a COVID positive. Then still, very less count when compared to other two. So I can announce it as a green area. Right. So like that, we are trying to come to an conclusion. Okay. So what we will do, where and all the red zone is there, we will put more protection in that particular area. And yellow zone, we will try to prevent it. Okay, not to happen. And the green zone, we try to protect it. Okay, because already it is green, so we should not increase the count. Right. So those precautions can be taken with the help of the data which we have collected. And the output we are getting from these data will be in the form of, either it can be chart form we can create, or we can create it as a graph, or we can use table to represent the data which we have collected. So all this comes under the descriptive statistics. When we move on to the inferential statistics, here we will be drawing a conclusion. Okay, here we will not take the entire data. Instead, we will take the sample of data from the original data. Then we will try to come to a conclusion, like how we have tried to make a conclusion in descriptive statistics. Like, we have tried to analyze and we are trying to come to a conclusion, right? Same here also we will try to do. Okay, instead of checking each and every person, in the entire population, 132 pop crores of people, analyzing is completely a difficult task, right? So instead, what we will do is, we will check for only 44 crores. Okay, every place we will have some, take some sample data, and then we will try to come to a conclusion. Okay, whether the disease is spreading more or it is getting reduced, what kind of effect it is creating. Everything we will try to analyze. So in this inferential statistics, what are all these steps will be included? Or first, comparison will be there, then estimation, relationship, hypothesis testing, and then predictions can be done. So once we have taken some sample data and we try to come to a conclusion, so we will try to check all the possibilities. Okay, what can be the future by help of the prediction method, and we can try to find out. Hypothesis testing is nothing but we will create one scenario and we will try to prove that scenario is true. Okay, so those things can be done with this help of the sample data. Okay, and the output of these data will be in the form of probability score. Okay, so why we are mentioning here probability is the term. When you hear about the term probability, the first thing you will remember, common examples you will remember is, tossing a coin will be there, whether you will get head or tail, or you will remember about the dice, or you will remember about the ball. Red ball is there, white ball is there. I am putting it in a single box, and what is the probability of getting a red ball, or what is the probability of getting a white ball? Like that, we are saying the probability, right? So we cannot say an accurate answer, but we can say, okay, there is this much percentage of possibility that our prediction may occur. Already we are predicted something, and we are saying, okay, there is 90% possibility is there, only 50% possibility is there to occur or not to occur. So those kind of result can be derived from the inferential statistics. Okay, so we will see the descriptive statistics in more detail with some example. So in the descriptive statistics, first we are going to see about the measures of center. Okay, you can able to see the example. I have given some values here. So for the given values, we are going to find the mean, median, and the mode for that particular value. Okay. When we say mean, it is nothing but the average of the given value. So how we will find the average? We will try to sum all the given value divided by total number of values. So here totally 12 values will be there. So if I try to add all the values, and if I try to divide it with 12, then I will get an average of 5.3. Okay. So based on this only, we used to say, right, example like, GDP and all, they are saying what is the average salary of a person living in this particular place. Or uh, so many scenarios like if you are taking in the school, okay, school level or college level, what is the pass percentage they are saying, what is the average pass percentage, what is the average score students are getting in that particular subject, what is the average attendance who are attending this particular session, so those things and all we can say it as an average or mean. Similarly, we are having median. So before calculating the median, what we will usually do is first we have to arrange the data in the ascending order. So when we arrange the data in the ascending order, so we can able to find the middle value. So median is nothing but the middle value present in our data. So here, if I arrange all the values and I'm trying to find the middle value, means what will be my value? To find the median value, so there are two ways. So we will have to check whether the number of values is odd number or even number. That we have to check. If the number of values is even number, then we have to use different method, and if the number of values are odd number, then we have to use different method. So if it is odd number, it is very simple. Okay, for example, if I'm having only 7 values, means I will separate 3 value. First 3 value I will remove, last 3 value I will remove, so in between one value will be there, right? So that will be my middle value, and I can directly specify that. But in case if I am having even number of values, then how to find the median is, again we have to use the same concept, but at last we will get two values in the middle. If you take means you will get two value. So we have to find the average of that two value. So simply we just have to add the value and we have to divide it by 2. Okay. So median is nothing but the measure center value of the sample set. So in our sample set, 5 and 2 will be the middle value. So 5 plus 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 3.5. So 5.3 is the mean value and 3.5 is the median value. Then what will be my mode value? So mode value is simply nothing but the most recurrent value in our sample set. So we are arranging the sample set in the ascending order, right? So we can easily able to find which value is maximum number of times repeated. Okay, maximum number of times which value is getting repeated, that value we will mention it as mode value. So if you see our data, in that maximum repeated value, only one is there, which is the 4. So 4 is the maximum repeated value. Then our answer is also 4. Mode is equal to 4. So this is how we will calculate the mode value. Measures of center we have seen. Now we will see measures of spread. So how our data can be spread. So here we are having 4 different ways. First we will say range. Then we are having interquartile ranges there. Then we are having variance. Then finally we are having standard deviation. Okay. First we will go for the range. So how we will find the ranges from the data, if you see, means minimum value. So what is the minimum value? If you are checking, means 1 is going to be my minimum value. Similarly, if I check for the maximum value, means 12 is going to be my maximum value. So the values between 1 to 12 only we will call it as the range. Okay, from one range to another range, the values are getting placed. So here it is clearly mentioned, measure of how values are spread. Then we are having interquartile range. So before understanding the interquartile range, we should understand what is quartile. Okay. Quartile is nothing but the measure of variability minus dividing into quartiles. So here also two step is there. First step is going to be the arranging the values in the ascending order. So that is our first step. Because once we arrange the data in the ascending order only, we can able to perform the operation correctly. So first step is ascending order. So we have arranged the data in the ascending order. Then second step, what we have to do is to find the interquartile range. First, we are trying to find the median value. So already we have seen one example, right? How to find the median. So same concept apply here also, and then find the median value. Then we will see what is quartile and what is interquartile. First, for this particular data, what value will be my median value? So here the median value. So again, if you see, means we are having 9 values totally. So it is very easy to separate first 4 value and last 4 value. So we can find the center value, which is the 5. So 5 is my center value. Just assume that by this data we will know what is the minimum value. 1 is going to be my minimum value. Similarly, what is going to be my maximum value? 12 is going to be my maximum value. Then now we have found that 5 is our median value. If I am trying to convert it into percentage, the percentage wise, if I am speaking, means 0% if I say, then 1 is my 0%. And 12 is going to be my 100%. Then 5 is my what percentage? So 5 is going to be my 50 percentage. If 5 is 50 percentage based on this particular data, then what is 25 percentage and what is 75 percentage? What value you will place it in the 25 percentage and what value you will place it in the 75 percentage? Okay. So here we have to remember one thing. So now what will happen is for to find the 25 percentage, okay, we have to take first four value. So we have already seen if the number of values are even number, then what we have to do is we have to take two values and we have to add them and divide it by 2. So if I perform that particular operation, I will get the output as 2.5. So 2.5 is my 25 percentage. Then for 75 percentage, again from the remaining four values, last four values, we will try to take the middle two value and we will divide it by 2. So the average of 9 plus 10 will be 9.5. So my 75 percentage value is 9.5. So we have found the mean value, median value 5. Then quadrille, we have found that okay, 2.5 is going to be the 25 percentage, 5 is going to be my 50 percentage, and 9.5 is going to be my 75 percentage, and 12 is going to be my 100 percentage. Interquartile range means we have to subtract the third quartile with the first quartile. Here, what is the third quartile? 9.5 is my third quartile. First quartile is 2.5. So if I subtract 9.5 with 2.5, then I will get the value of interquartile range, which is 7. Then we are having variance. So when you say variance, it represents how much current values different from the expected value. Okay, so you are expecting some particular value, but actual received value is completely different. Then what is the difference between the expected and the actual value? So that is what we call it as variance, that variation in the value. So we can take any example for this particular variance, maybe expected marks minus actual marks you have obtained, or expected output. Okay, in a program you are expecting one output, or in a product you are expecting some quality, but actually what you have received. Then what is the difference between expected and the actual? So those things, if you want to calculate, means we will be using this variance. And this variance can be applied for both population variance as well as sample variance. Okay, the difference is going to be the data set. The size of the data is going to change, and values which we are taking into consideration. So those things are all going to change. In the population variance, we will take the entire data and we will perform the analysis. Whereas in the sample variance, we will randomly take some sample values and then we will perform that particular operation. Then we are having standard deviation. So what is standard deviation? So it is a measure of dispersion of set of data from its mean. So what we will do is we will take the entire data and we will sum the data and we will try to find the mean value. So how we have calculated the mean value before, mean, median, mode. The purpose of doing that is later we need those data to perform the standard deviation variance we needed. So that is why we have calculated prior. So we will take the mean data and then we will try to subtract it with each and every data. So whichever value is less than the mean value, then output will be in the negative. And whichever value is greater than the mean value, so output is going to be positive. Then later we will try to sum all the values which we have calculated from the standard deviation. So this is going to be the formula for the standard deviation. Okay, in statistics, what and all we have seen. First, we have seen what is statistics, and then what are all the elements of statistics: population, sample, variables that we have seen. In variables, again, we are having two category: quantitative and then categorical. Then we have seen types. In the type, we are having descriptive statistics and then inferential statistics. So the output of the descriptive statistics will be in the form of chart, graph, and table. Similarly, in the inferential statistics, the output will be in the form of probability score. And the descriptive statistics, we have seen two more concepts, which is measure of center and then measure of spread. In the measure of center, we have seen mean, median, and mode. And then in the measure of spread, we have seen range, interquartile range. Then we have seen variance, and then finally we have seen the standard deviation. Okay, so what for we are going to this particular pandas library? So we have already seen about this in the previous session. So Pandas library, we use it for data analysis and then data manipulation. So with the help of this Panda library, we can able to perform data analysis manipulation for a large data set also. So it is not that we can use only a small data set and we can perform. Later, when you are dealing with a huge amount of data, big data like that, if you are going to deal with for machine learning or deep learning, neural network, it can be any advanced concept. So this Panda will be the base library to perform data cleaning, manipulating. So in the manipulating part, it will include how you will handle the missing data, how you can filter the data based on the condition. So those things will be included in the Pandas library. So from the Pandas library only, we will be start to import data set. It can be in various file format, but we will start importing the data and then we will try to perform some operation in the imported data. Then we will export the finalized data. So data structure of pandas. So in NumPy, we had only one data structure, which is array. So in that array, we can either create it as a single dimension array, or we can create it as a two-dimension array, or we can create it as a multi-dimension array also. Here in the pandas, we have two data structure. One is series and second one is data frame. So series are nothing but the one-dimension array with labels. In NumPy, array does not have any label. Okay, values will be there and we will be performing some operation. But in Pandas series, we will be having array with labels. So that is why we are calling it as a series. Then when it comes to the data frame, it is a two-dimensional array. Again, here also we can give name to our rows as well as the columns. Okay, one by one we will start seeing. So first we have to initialize our Panda library. By default, all these libraries will be available in the Anaconda itself. In case if it is not available, then we should know how to install it. So for that we have already seen right? We have to give pip install and the library name. Here we are going to install the pandas. And if you are using the Google Colab, then you have to give exclamatory mark in front of the pip. Then we are going to import the pandas. To check the version, which version of panda I am using, just we have to give the library name dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. So here if you look means when I'm trying to install the pandas library, automatically it will check whether the NumPy library has been installed or not. Here we have mentioned the version also. This and all by inbuild it will check. You don't need to manually give anything. By inbuild it will check whether this NumPy version is greater than or equal to whatever the version it requires. If you are already having NumPy, but that version is not equal to this particular version, then automatically it will start updating your NumPy library as well. So it will check all the condition. If all conditions has been already been installed, then you will get the output like requirement already satisfied. Otherwise, whichever package is missing, that package alone it will install or update. Then the version will be displayed for this particular line pandas dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. So this is how we will initialize the panda library. Then loading the data set as a variable. So in NumPy, how we have created our array, we will use to give the value in the array method. Okay, inside that we have to pass the square bracket. Right. Similarly, in the Panda library also, we can create series and data set by passing our own value. Let us see how to create the series in Panda. So we have to use the method called series. Here you have to note one thing is the spelling as well as the capital letter S. So these two things are important. If you are making a spelling mistake or if you are not giving the S as caps, then definitely it will throw error because Python is a case sensitive. So to create a series, here what I have done is import pandas as PD. Okay, the short form of panda is PD. So dataset equal to pd dot series, and then I have created one list and I have passed that list into my series. Directly, if you want to give also, you can give that square bracket and you can pass the values directly. When I print the value, okay, in NumPy, if I print the value, so how you will get the output? You will simply get the output like, in the square bracket you will get, and the values will be separated by space. But in Panda series, you are getting the output along with the index number. Okay, what is the index number and what value it is holding? So both the information it is printing, and along with that it is printing the data type also. Okay, what is the type of this particular data also printed along with our output. In NumPy, if I want to check the data type separately means, then we have to give that particular variable name dot d type. Then only it will return the data type of that particular array. But here automatically it will show the data type in the bottom itself whenever you are trying to print the series. Suppose I'm planning to give my own index value. Okay, instead of going for the default 0, 1, 2, 3, I want to give my own index value means, so that is also possible. At the time of creating your series itself, we can mention the attribute index equal to, and in the square bracket you can pass the index value. Okay, so how many values you are going to pass, so that many index value you have to pass it in this particular attribute also. So here what happened is automatically the values default index value has been changed to number 1, number 2, number 3, like that it has been changed. So hereafter, if I want to access the specific value, then I can give the customized index. Whatever index I have given, same index I can give it to access the value. So this is for creating a series. Similarly, if I want to create a data frame, okay, and I want to give some headings to my column. Okay, data frame, just remember like Excel sheet is there, in that you are entering your details. Usually we will give some column name, right? Similarly, for our data, you are planning to give column names for each column. Then what we can do is simply we can create a dictionary and we can pass the dictionary into our pandas data frame. So first we are creating a dictionary called data. So in the data, key value pair, right? So key is name, and then values I have given it in the list format. Again, color is going to be my key, and for that particular key, I have given some values. And I am passing that particular data into pd dot data frame. Again, here also D and F are caps. So you have to give it in caps. You should not give any space. Then if you are passing the data and I try to print what is present in my data set. So here you can able to see my output. So name and color came as the heading part, and index value we didn't pass anything. So default index it has taken, and the values are getting printed as expected. So this is how it will represent the data frame. So data frame is nothing but a collection of series. Okay, individually if you try to check means each individual column is a series. All together we call it as a data frame. Okay, so I have created the variable for series and data frame. What if I want to get the data from a file? Okay, user has already created one file and user has passed all the information needed. So from that particular file, I want the information to be stored in my program. Okay, so for that, what we are going to do is we are going to use a method called read. Okay, so if I give read underscore CSV, then I can able to read the CSV file format. So various file format are there. Either your file can be in a CSV format, which is comma separated value, or your file can be in a text format, or your file can be in an Excel format. Any format it can be. So accordingly, we will have the method. So if I use that method and pass that particular file name, then automatically the data will be imported into our program. So here if you see means my file name is dataset, and here whenever you are giving the file name, you have to give along with the extension. Then only the program will understand, okay, whether this particular file is present in my program or not. So extension of the file is very important. And here if you see means we have directly given the file name. This will work only if this particular file, whatever file you are mentioning, is present in the same location where our program file is also located. For example, I'm having one folder. That folder name is programs. In that folder, I'm having one file. So the file name is pandas.ipynb. Then I'm having one file. That file name is dataset.csv. So now this dataset.csv file and my program file both are present in the same location. Then if I directly give the file name with the extension means it will work without throwing any error. But if it is present in a different location, let's assume that we are having another one folder in this particular programs folder. Another one folder is there. That folder name we can keep it like dataset folder. Okay. Inside that file, inside that folder, I'm having file.csv is there. Okay. Now, if I try to give that file.csv directly, then it will throw error like no such file or directory is present. Like that, you will get some error. Then how we can specify this particular location is, okay, before understanding this concept, you should know there are two different paths are there. So first path we call it as absolute path and second path we call it as relative path. Here we are seeing about the relative path. So let me explain the relative path first, then I will explain you about the absolute path. First, relative path means from the program file, how to reach the destination file. That only we call it as relative path. So in this scenario, if I want to reach the file.csv instead of dataset.csv, then how we have to specify is inside my read.csv, read underscore csv, I have to give dot slash. Okay, initially we have to give dot slash. It represents current directory. Okay, so it will start checking from the current directory. In that current directory, I am having a folder, which is data set. So inside that folder, I am having that particular file. File name is file.csv. So in this way, if you are representing means, then it will fetch that particular file and it will import it into our program. Again, this is also relative path only. Okay, because from my program file, I am saying the path how to reach the destination file, which is file.csv. Suppose my program file is in programs folder. We know, right? It is in D drive. And my data set is present in the C drive. Okay, C drive. Inside that downloads folder is there. So inside that download folder, I am having like new file. New file.csv is there. Now, if I want to access this particular file, then what we have to do is we have to give the complete path starting from the drive. Okay, we have to start specifying from the drive. So how we will pass the output is, so in the read underscore csv, in the double quotes, we will start from C directory. Inside the C directory downloads folder. Inside the downloads folder, the file name. So like that, if you are specifying the complete path, then we will say this is an absolute path. So there is a difference between absolute path and relative path. So most preferred one is relative path only. Okay, from the current file, how we can reach the destination file. So when you are planning to share this as a single folder, all the required documents will be present in that particular folder itself. So if another person is trying to execute the program also, without changing the code, it will get executed. Otherwise, where and all you have represent the path, you have to change it to your own system path, then only it will start executing. Okay. So it is not only for CSV file, but also if you want to access a text file, .txt file, then also we can use read underscore CSV method. But if you are trying to import an Excel file, for Excel file, we are having separate method that we called as read underscore Excel. So in that file with the extension of XLSX or XLX, which file format is there, we have to specify it correctly. Then automatically it will import the data. And when you are trying to print the data, mostly it will try to print the entire data. Or if the number of rows are very high means it will print only a few rows. Okay, first few rows and last few rows. For sample, it will print. But you are planning to check only the first five row alone. Okay, to understand what is the structure of the table, what are all the columns are there, how the data has been filled. Those things if you want to check for the first five rows or first 10 rows like that, if you want to do means, then we can go for the method called head. In the head method, if you are not passing any value also, by default, it will return the first five rows in our data set. It will return. No, if you want 10 rows or 15 rows means, then you can specify it in the bracket. Then that many rows alone, it will return it from our data set. Suppose if you are planning to view the data from the last, you don't want the first five data or first 10 data. You wanted to view from last five or last 10 like that. If you want to view means, then we can use another method called tail. Okay, so you have to give tail and inside that you have to pass the value. How many rows you want from the last. If you are specifying means accordingly it will return you the values. Then if I want to know the details about the data set, like how many rows and columns is there, or what are all the numerical data columns I'm having, those things if I want to see means, then we can use these methods and properties. So here if you see means to find the shape, simply we have to represent the dataset name dot shape. If you give means it will return the rows and columns. So how many rows is there and how many column is there, it will return. And if you use the describe method, so in the statistics we have seen, right, we have tried to find the mean, median, 25 percentage, 75 percentage. Everything will be done automatically for all the columns which are having the numerical value. Even though if you are having 12 columns or even if you are having 15 columns, 100 columns also, in that only 5 columns are having numerical data. Remaining other columns are having text data means it will take only the columns having the numerical data and then it will perform the following operation. So it will check the count, how many values are there in that particular column. Then what is the mean value? What is the standard deviation? What is the minimum value? What is the maximum value? what is 25%, what is 50%, what is 75%. Like that, it will give you a short summary about your data. So you can get some insight. Okay, these are all the columns are there. This is how the output you will get. Like that, you will get some idea. Then we are having data slicing. So here, if you are giving the data set name dot columns, it will return what are all the column names. For each column, we have given some name, right? So that column list, it will return to us. So with the help of that list, we can able to specify the correct column name. So we can check the spelling. We can also check whether it is given in the caps or small. Because again, if you are not giving the column name correctly, okay, if you are making any spelling mistake or if you are changing the case, uppercase, lowercase means, then you will not get the expected output. So here we can call the column by the column name. If I want to call a single column means, then it will return it like a series. We can call more than two columns also. Then it will return like a data frame. So we will see the difference here. When I try to call up only one column and I have specified the column name as name, I have given only one square bracket. So data set square bracket and I have given the name. But when I try to take more than two columns, name, speed, or if I'm trying to add more columns also, here if you see means I have given two square bracket. So if you are giving two square bracket and if you are calling a particular column means, then it will return the value in data frame format. Even if you are calling only one column, but you have given two square bracket means, then it will consider okay, it is a data frame. But if you are passing only one square bracket and if you are calling only one column means, then it will return it as a series only, not as data frame. Suppose one specific column alone you want, in that you want to know only first five information or one from one range to another range if you want to know means, then you have to give another square bracket after the column name. You have to give another one square bracket. In that you have to mention the start value and the stop value. Okay, here 0 to 6 is there. So from the index 0 to 5 it will return the value. So in this method we are calling a particular column using the column name. Suppose I want to do the same operation, but without mentioning the column name. I want to mention it with the index number. Then what we can do is we can go for the integer location. So if you pass the integer value, that integer value is nothing but the index value of our each column. So this is the advantage. We can access the column based on index value also, or we can access the column based on the column name also. Whichever is convenient for you, accordingly you can use it. So if you are planning to use the index number, then we have to use this particular method. ilog, okay, data set you have to give dot ilog. In the square bracket, you have to pass the index number. So accordingly, you will get the output. Here one if I give means first column alone it will return. If I give 1 colon 5 means first column to fourth column it will return. Then if I give 1 comma 2 means first column and second column. If I give 1 2 5 7 like that means whichever column value I have specified, that column alone it will return it as a single data frame. So for that purpose only, we will be using this ilog method. If you are planning to iterate on the data, so you want to print the data one by one, you want to collect the data and you have to print it one by one, and you want to perform some operation in each and every data mean, then we can put in the for loop. So for here we are using iterate rows. Okay, that is what in short it is given as iter rows. So it will iterate the rows, and output of this particular method will return two values. One is the index value and another one is the row. Means entire row data it will return. From that, if you want to only the name column means you have to specify. If you are specifying means only the name value it will return along with the index. If you don't want to specify the index means simply you can give row of name means name, age is there means age. Like that, whatever column is present, that column name you can specify and you can get your data. Okay. So here we are going to perform a conditional filtering. So previously we have done the slicing part. In that slicing, we can specify which column I want. I can separately specify, or I can specify the range of columns. Everything is okay. But I want all the rows with some condition. Okay, if that condition is satisfied in that particular column, then I want the entire detail of that particular row. Then how we can do is, here we have given the data set dot log. Okay, here we are not using the ilog, only we are using log. So that is why we are mentioning the data set and column name. Along with that, we are giving the condition also. Here our condition is speed. In the column speed, the value should be greater than 90. So whichever row is satisfying that particular condition, that row alone will be printed as our output. So in this way, we can pass conditions to any of our column. We can also pass multiple conditions as well. Suppose we want to sort the data. See, all these things whichever I am saying, if you have already learned Excel concept, basic Excel if you have learned means in that, we will be seeing about the conditional formatting will be there, sorting of the data will be there. Each row will have their own column name, and then for row we will have some numbers. So like that, lot of things we might have done in the Excel. So same concept we are doing using the programming language, and we will use it for the advanced purpose. So to sort the data, we have to give the method sort underscore values. And inside that, we have to pass based on which column you want to sort the data. So here I am given HP. So HP data it will take and it will sort it in the ascending order. But here what I have done is I have given ascending is equal to false. So if I want the values in the descending order, we don't have any separate descending order. Instead, what we will do is we will give the attribute ascending and we will pass the value as false. So automatically it will arrange the values in the descending order. If you are not passing, it means it will return it as ascending order. If you are passing, no, I don't want it in ascending, I want it in descending, then you have to mention ascending is equal to false. Then automatically it will print in the descending order. So in the output, HP, highest value comes first, then comes the lower values. Then we are having editing the data. So we have imported the data and I'm planning to add few more columns into my data. If it is possible, yes, it is possible to add additional columns into our data. And whatever operation we are performing in our data inside our program, it will not affect our actual data set. Okay, that CSV file, it is not going to get any update or get affected. Nothing is going to happen because in our program it has taken a copy of that particular information only, not it is not connected with that particular file. So here whatever modification you want, you can do it and it is not going to affect our actual data set. So here in my program what I am trying to do is I am trying to add the HP value and then the attack value, and I'm planning to create a new column called power. Okay, so after adding the new column, I can check okay, whether it has been added or not by just giving the dataset yet of 5. So to adding a new column is very simple. All you need to do is give the data set, and then in the square bracket you have to mention the column name, new column name you want to use, that you have to mention. Then we can give what operation you are going to perform, you can give. If you are giving the already existing column name, means we all know, right, what will happen, it will try to update the existing value. Suppose if I want to remove a particular column, so I don't need this particular column. For example, if you are taking any data set, means few column, it will not give any meaning, or it will not be needed for further analysis. So those columns and all, we try to remove it to reduce the column size. So to do that, we have to give this particular method called drop method. So you have to give drop. Inside that, columns attribute will be there. Columns, we have to give it as columns, not column, even if you are giving a single column. And equal to, in the square bracket, we have to mention the column names. If you are having multiple column names, we can separate them by comma, and we have to specify the column name. Then automatically those columns will be removed from our data set. And I'm saving that particular value. Okay, after removing that particular column, it will create a new data set only. And I'm trying to store it in the same variable. So what will happen? It will get updated to our new data. Instead of creating multiple variables to store the data, we are reusing the same variable name. In case you need the original data, and you are planning to perform various operation with the new data. In that case, maybe if you want, means you can store it in a separate variable. Next, we are going to say how to save the data set. So we have done all the modification, we have performed all sorting and other things we have done. Then how to export that particular data set. So for that, what we have to do is we have to use the method called to underscore, and then which method you are going to use. Whether you want to save it as a CSV file or you want to save it as an Excel file, accordingly you can use that particular method. Okay. So if I give dot to underscore CSV, inside the square bracket, I have to mention in what name I want to save that particular file along with the extension. Extension is always important when you are dealing with the file. So if you are not giving the extension, or if you are giving the wrong extension, then definitely you will not get the expected output. So here what I have done is, in the first line I have tried to create a new dataset.csv. Okay, if I run this line, means it will create a new file, and all the updated data will be stored there. Similarly, I want the data in the Excel format, means then I have to give the extension of Excel SX. Suppose we know, right, in the data set along with the index only it will store. I don't want the index, and I want to separate the data not by comma but by the tab space. Then what I can do is I can mention like index is equal to false and separate is equal to slash t, means tab. So accordingly it will save our data into our location. Wherever this particular file is located, in the same location it will print. Otherwise, if we want to save it in different location, means as we have previously seen, you can give relative method, or you can give the absolute method. So checking NaN value in the data set. Sometimes user will not give any value. in particular field. So those empty values we call it as the NaN values, which is not a number. Okay, we are expecting some value, but nothing has been selected means then we can call them as a NaN values. So how to deal with those type of values? That is also very important because we cannot pass the incomplete or the missing data into our model. We are doing like that means the accuracy of our model will get reduced. So to prevent that, we have to deal with those NaN values. So for that, first we need to find right which column and all having the NaN value. So to find that, we have to give the data set name dot is NA dot NE. If you give like this means it will return the output in this format. If any of the column is having a none value, then it will return true. If that column is not having any NaN value, then it will return false. So by this, we can able to easily find out, okay, this particular column is having NaN, these columns are not having NaN. Because manually, if you are trying to see means you may make mistake. It will take some time to analyze whether it is having NaN value, missing values or not. So this is the simple method we can give. So after finding, we have to fix it, right? So fix what we can do is if we are having very less rows only having the missing data, then simply we can remove all this column whichever having the missing value, and we can take only the proper values, and we can create a new data set or we can update it in the existing data set. Or another method what we can do is where and all missing values is there we can replace it with the mean value. If it is a numerical column means we can replace it with mean value, or even we can replace it with the mode value also. When it comes to text based column, there mean and all it will not work, right? We cannot able to do addition and all. There again we can go for the mode method, whichever values occurs more. For example, gender, if I'm taking means male female, mostly it is going to be male female. Whichever values more, that value I will put it in the missing values also. So to remove all the columns or the rows which is having the missing data, so what we can do is simply we have to mention. So in our program, this particular column, type 2 column will have some missing data. Okay, some field it will have NaN value. So what we are doing, we are taking that particular column alone and we are passing a method called not NA. So it what it will do is it will collect all the values which are not having that NA again. Then that particular rows alone I am taking and passing into my same data set. So now what will happen is all the rows which are having the NaN value will get removed, and only values present in all the rows and columns will be present in my data set. So this is one method. But this method will be create a issue when we are having very less data, and every data is having lot of missing values. Then it will be difficult to go to this particular method. So to avoid that only, we can either, as I mentioned, we can either go to the mean method or median method or mode method. And to fill the data, we have to use a method called fill NA. So I have to give fill NA, and for which field I want to fill. Okay, here speed it is given. You can take any one column and you can perform that particular operation. So this is how we will try to deal with the missing data. or the NaN values. Then last one what we will do is mapping certain values to another. Okay, sometimes when we are getting the data, some columns will be in a numerical format and some column will be in a text format. But we want the column to be in the numerical format, but it will be in text format, or we expect in the text format, but it will be given in a numerical format. Because of that, like our output may differ, or we may not able to put our data into our model. So in that case, what we can do is we can use one method. With that method, we can map the values. So where and all this particular value is coming, replace. Okay, it is similar like replacing the existing value with another value. But here it can be of different data type also. We can convert from numerical to string, or we can convert from string to numerical. It is not like typecasting. Okay, in typecasting we will just convert. That is different. Here completely the data we are changing. So in the example, if you see means we are having one column called generation. So in the generation, the values are given in numerical format, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it is given. Up to 6 generation it is given. But we don't need the generation column to be in the numerical. Instead, we want it in a categorical format. So for that, what we are doing is we are taking only the generation column and we are giving the map method. So in the map method, we have to pass the values in key value. Okay, key is going to be our old value, and then value is going to be our new value. So accordingly, if you give it for all the values present in that particular column, automatically it will change. And we can also specify the data type also. So in the last, we can specify as type str. So it is nothing but the string data type. So I want to convert it, and I want to convert the column to a string data type. So in this way, it will be completely converted. So I have told you, right, we can use tail method instead of head method. So if you are using tail method means it will print the output from the last. Okay, so we will directly move on to the program part. So already in my Visual Studio Code, the Panda has been already installed. If not installed means we can use the pip install method and we can install it. And if I check my current version of my Panda is, so it is mentioned like 2.0.3. So this is going to be my current version. Then to create a series, so initially I have created a table. Then I have passed it into my series method. Then if I try to print it means along with the index value and the data type is printing the output. Similarly for with index, with my customized index, if I want means, then I have to mention that index attribute and I have to pass the value in the list. Then for data frame, if you are manually creating your own data frame means mostly we have to give it in the format of dictionary format. So it should be a key value pair. So keys will be taken as the column name and the values will be taken for that particular column. Then loading the data set from the file. So in the file explorer, you can able to see all the required files are present in the same directory, same location. So if I run this means it will execute without throwing any error. So I can use .csv file, I can use a .excel file, or I can use the text file as well. Then if I want to know the detail, okay, number of rows and columns I want to know, and I want to know about the detailed information about that particular data set means, then we can use dot shape, and then we can use a dot describe method. Then data slicing part. So dot column we are giving means it will return the column names in the list format. So from here you can able to choose whichever column you want to use it into your program. Okay, to avoid spelling mistake, space, so you can use this way. So here I'm calling based on the name. Here I have passed name and speed. Okay, so accordingly I will get the output. So if I want to access this based on the index number, then I have to go for the ilog. Then I have to specify the index. So here according to our index given, we are getting the output. Then if I want to iterate it using the for loop, then we can use dot iterate rows. So it will return two values, index and then row. Here index comma row name I am printing. So instead of name, if I am going for any other value, for example, if I am taking a defense or generation type 1, type 2, like that, anything if I'm choosing means accordingly I will get my output. Then data slicing with filter. So we are giving some condition, and based on that particular condition, we are trying to filter the value. So here we have taken HP value. This HP value should be greater than 90. So which and all values coming greater than 90, those rows alone it will return. So here you can able to see 95 in 140, like that more than 90 only it will take. Then slicing using the sorting data. Okay, to sort the data, as we have seen, you can use the sort underscore values based on which column you want to sort, based on the speed if you want to sort, or based on the HP value if you want to sort. Okay. And if I run this without this ascending is equal to false, by default, it will sort in the ascending order only. Okay, minimum value and then it will grow to the maximum value. But if I'm mentioning the ascending is equal to false, then automatically it will return the descending order. Then editing the data, I am trying to add the HP value and attack value, and I'm passing into a new column called power. And if I check my data set means one new column will be added in the end and all the values will get updated there. Similarly, if I don't want that column, any of the column means, then I have to mention it in the drop method and I have to use the columns attribute. Inside that, I have to pass all the column names in the list format. So when you're passing all the values, accordingly, it will remove all the columns. Then save the dataset into a new file. So here we have to give the file name, whatever file name you want, you can give. Accordingly, it will create. You just have to add the extension in which extension you want, and you should have given the correct method for that. If you don't want any index or you want to separate the values based on tab instead of comma means, then you have to specify it. Then only it will print. Then to find the null values is nothing but the NaN values. We are using this two method combined we are using. Okay, data set one dot is NA dot NE. So here you can able to see that type 2 alone is having the NaN value. So that is why it is written true and remaining column it is returning false. When you are dealing with multiple data, you will get many columns with true like this. So each and every column we have to take, and what best we can do to that particular column we have to try to do to fix the NaN value. Every time removing the column will not be the proper solution. Okay, we have to check how many missing values are there, how to handle them, what is the best way. Everything we have to take into the consideration. Then only you have to come to an conclusion. So if I am planning to remove all the rows for the data in the type 2 column, then I can go for this dot not NA. Okay, so it will return all the non null values, and I'm updating into the same data set, so it will get updated. All the values will get removed. Otherwise, I can use this fill method. So fill NA, maybe I can specify data set type 2. If I want type 2 means type 2, otherwise speed means speed. And then what depend upon what data type it is. So if type 2 is an text based data type means I cannot use a mean. So there we can go for mode. Speed is an numerical data type. So I can use the mean method, find the average, and I can apply that particular value in each and every place. It is not like we have to perform this mean only. If you want to give any of your own value, some default value is there. If no value is given means go for the default value. Like that, if any value is there means that also we can directly specify in the fill NA method. Then finally, we are having the mapping. So this mapping also you will be frequently using when we want to convert uh, one column from one to another data type. Here we are taking the generation, and I want the generation to be in a text data type. So I'm just giving dot map. Inside that I'm passing the value in a dictionary format. So old value colon new value. Then finally, I'm giving dot as type str. So it will convert the data type to string data type, and it will get updated to that particular column alone. Then finally, if I print my output means previously, if I check the generation, it will have the numbers. Now it will be converted to text type. Hope all these concepts are very clear to you all.